Hello and welcome to this edition of Age of Truth TV. I'm Lucas Alexander at the Dome of Visions in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's the 30th of May 2014, and I'm joined by author and conspiracy researcher, yoga teacher and artist, Ole Dammegård, who's actually in Denmark, his native country, for the first time in many years. Ole Dammegård, thank you very much for joining us here in Denmark, and welcome back to your own home country.
Thank you, it's an absolute pleasure.
So, what brought you here? It wasn't really family or friends or anything that you're related to here in Denmark. It's actually, well, the Bilderberg Group meeting that is taking place right at this moment, just around the corner from the Dome of Visions here. For many years, there's been a lot of speculation about what is actually taking place at these Bilderberg Group meetings. And a lot of politicians have come out and talked about it and just said it's a think tank. It's just ideas that they're ping-ponging and talking about in private, and they want a private space so that the press and everybody, don't have to sit and listen to it. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on this?
When you look at a group like the Bilderberg Group, you need to study history. You need to go back, see who created it, where did it come from, what was the idea about the whole thing, and what was the agenda, what was the motive of creating it. What you're saying is that, yes, it's a think tank and great and all, that sounds perfect. I do not disagree with that, but you have to go back, check out the facts and so on. The people that created it in 1954 had very strong Nazi roots. It was after the Second World War, and they were part of an elite group that was trying to find a new way of partly controlling the world, to try and centralize the power to fewer and fewer, and to connect countries so that it would be easier for them to control. They wanted to go beyond national borders. They wanted to dissolve the borders between different countries. And the way they wanted to do that was by create a small little what they call the steering committee, of a small handful, there's 7 normally, hand-picked people, that would pick people from key positions in every country. It started with the NATO countries and the Western world and so on, so that they could, through these people, in key positions, start to control and manipulate that country slowly in a direction that they could control.
But what evidence do we have to support that theory?
I have studied this group for about 30 years. Without bragging, I have been welcomed as one of the world's best researchers when it came to the JFK assassination, and some other people see me as one of the leading experts in the Palme assassination as well. And one of the things is that once you start looking into these conspiracies and you get higher and higher and higher up, when you try to find out where did the orders come from, not who did it on a street level, I can go into great details with it, but where did the order come from? And you come up to the level up in the power pyramid, and one of the 3 groups that you find not in the top of the pyramid but way up there is the Bilderberg Group. There are 3 main groups that I don't go beyond that, I leave that to other experts, but there are 3 groups there that keeps coming up. And it's the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, and the Council on Foreign Relations. Check them out. And nowadays on the internet there are loads of information. When I started, it was super secret, super secret, very hard to find out.
But a lot of the people that are attending the Bilderberg Group meeting are different people every year, and some are there many times, like Henry Kissinger and David Rockefeller, who were some of the, maybe partially the founders of it. But some are just what we might say small-time politicians and businessmen and media moguls and, well, even royalty, of course, which is also a little bit interesting. But it's a group that is always changing, and it's not the same people. So don't you think that a lot of these people who are there, they don't think that they're part of a global conspiracy or conspiring about things that will, change the world drastically in a, as you said, in a Nazi kind of way? I don't think a lot of people will do that, because we both have the conservatives and the liberals and the socialists, everybody meeting in there.
I would say, once again, if you study history, in my book Coup d'etat in slow motion, that is about the Palme assassination, I go into extreme details about the Palme assassination, and I have it on my website, lightonconspiracies.com. There's one Swedish version, one English. The English version is 200 pages longer. It's 880, and then plus 200 pages off. The 200 pages are the memberships list of the people who have attended Bilderberg Group's meetings from 1954, the locations that have been super secret, the agendas that has leaked out. When you study these things, it has taken years and years and years for researchers to find out these things, and to great cost. I mean, people have been killed and stopped in many different ways that have been trying to dig into and find out what's going on.
About the Bilderberg Group?
About the Bilderberg Group.
Really? How do we know that?
How we know that, okay.
That they were killed because they wanted to expose what is taking place
when
at the
somebody
Bilderberg
starts
meetings.
focusing on something, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and suddenly he ends up dead. If you start seeing a pattern of people being suicided or committing suicide on a very appropriate time just before they're going to go out in press or so, once you start studying many different conspiracies and you see the same pattern repeating itself, you have to start seeing that they might be connected, there might be a similar thing happening. And when it comes to the global elite, they call themselves the global elite, I would call them the minority, or the lightless is what I prefer calling them, that when you see people who get too close to what they try to hide and then end up dead, then you could imagine that they could be connected. So I'm not saying that they were killed because of that, I'm just saying that the possibility is quite high. And anyway, in these agendas, once you start seeing what people are there at these meetings, once you start checking out the membership list, you will be shocked. I tell you, because these are people you see on TV on a daily basis, look very nice, they have an agenda for the people, if they're politicians, they come from all different parts of society, in the legal system, police system, media, bankers, communication, transport, you got rich families, you got royalties, you got politicians. Politicians are some of the key people they use here.
But what I really want to just jump in here for a moment and ask you, why is it wrong that politicians and maybe also businessmen are meeting at these meetings and talking just maybe confidentially or something about different things, that they want to exchange ideas or something?
The problem is not that they meet, the problem is that they meet in total secrecy. 2013 was the first year ever, more or less, that they started saying, okay, fine, we do exist, because up until then, they had been denying. Or you would find like a one-liner in the newspaper that the Bilderberg Group is meeting in Saltsjöbaden in Stockholm. Blup, that's it. Nothing else. Media is not invited. Nobody knows what's going on. And these are not like on a low level. These are high up there. We're talking like prime ministers, we're talking foreign ministers, we're talking in education system, we're talking in the banking system, all of these people. And you have, if we talk politicians, for instance, if you have a foreign minister from Sweden, for instance, who suddenly meets in secrecy with a foreign minister of the States or Russia, that, if you look in the legal way, it's called treason. You cannot
In what way?
It is treason. You are not allowed, as elected by the people, politician, to secretly meet with other politicians in secrecy, without it being open, an open agenda. Why are you meeting? We're meeting because of this. It's paid by the taxpayers and so on. And if you go into another area, if you say, for instance, that this was the, let's say, the football world championship in football, okay, and there was a lot of gambling going on in the world about who's going to win and all of these things, and then before that, you suddenly have a super secret meeting where all the teams, all the trainers, all the owners of the teams are meeting in secrecy.
Yeah, but isn't it good that they're all doing it in peace? Maybe that will bring more peace to the world?
Peace, I love peace. I'm here to spread peace. I say transparency.
Instead of creating wars.
I'm saying transparency. Who says they're not creating wars? These people are, if you look into it, I'm not saying this lightly. I say this built on 30 years of research. Me and many other people are, to a great extent, the people behind many of these wars. The decisions, if you see the agenda, and the agenda has not been easy to find out. It has taken a lot of research for a lot of people for many, many years to come over these details and so on. And you will see that the agenda at these meetings, what is decided during these meetings, will affect the world over the next years. The decisions taken here on whatever area in the world, Syria at the moment, Syria, Ukraine, chemtrails, at the moment they have about the truth movement as well, becoming a more and more bigger problem. The problems that are covered during these meetings and the solutions that are being brought forward then takes place during the year coming, and you will see that but you cannot, without knowing that, you cannot understand that they are connected somehow. It's just that suddenly, boop, 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 these things happen. Boom, 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 not seeing to be connected.
But since we don't know exactly what they're discussing, how do we know that they're implementing this in the world society in their respective countries?
It is only by studying year and years and years and years, and then you see whatever was discussed there and what happens afterwards.
So you're saying it doesn't matter whether you are a Republican or a Democrat or a socialist or anything else, because they're all there together talking and discussing things in peace, or what?
I do not believe in politics, because if you look into it, once again, I say this after many years of research, the game is rigged at this point. On many levels, the game is rigged. You are presented different options. Which one do you want to choose? Different arms from the same body. You have an option, an illusion of democracy. Ooh, I can choose left, I can choose right, I can do this. These members, once again, this is a very good question you say, right or left. Both of them are invited there. You will see, you've got the liberals, the whatever you want to call them, are meeting there. They are officially enemies. They are officially people you see on TV arguing, we're so not going the same road. So what are you doing there? What are you doing there? Are you there to meet in peace and become friends? Or have you signed up for a different agenda? And I would suggest that when you look at these meetings, super secret meetings, check out Tony Blair, check out Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, for instance, was a low-key governor in Arkansas that was part of the whole Iran-Contra scandal. Once again, I do not say this lightly. He was part of the whole Iran-Contra scandal, where weapons were smuggled out from the National Guard in the States without the serial numbers. They were manufactured separately. Weapons were put together, then transported in medevac helicopters and military planes down to the Contras army that was created and supported by Bilderbergers and people from the Council of Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission, one of them being Henry Kissinger, and the CIA. CIA is one of the tools that they're using. Anyway, so the weapons were transported down to the Contras to commit genocide in these different countries, Honduras, Nicaragua, and so on, officially to fight communism. But there was a totally different agenda.
But wasn't that before he was elected president?
Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm coming to that. So weapons down, drug going back, okay? And I've got this from the horse's mouth. Chip Tatum is one. You can check him out, chiptatum.com. He was a deep cover black op for 25 years. He was a Night Stalker pilot. He was part of many false flag operations. He was one of George Bush Sr.'s private hit team assassins being sent on global missions in a super secret team called Pegasus. He was part of flying this. He's got them filmed. He's got everything. That's why he's still alive now after he turned whistleblower.
So do we know for sure that his story is right?
When do you know things for sure? You know when you start putting the pieces together. When you get it confirmed from 2, 3, 4 different sources. You see that, oh, this does not fit. This does not fit. Then suddenly, you get it confirmed again, you check it out, suddenly it fits in with another piece. Okay. Like with these things that I've been looking into, I started like an absolute naive, I had no idea what I was getting into with the Palme assassination and the JFK. I don't know why, I just got obsessed with trying, what is going on? We're being fed a lot of lies. Why are they lying to us?
So you're questioning democracy or the idea that is presented through the media to the population?
You're asking big questions, and my answer is yes. I do not answer this lightly, but absolutely. We're being fed an illusion of democracy. But I would like to go back to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was a low-key governor of Arkansas, and one of the things in the Iran-Contras was, like I said, they transported weapons out, drugs back. And it's all these operations are on a compartmentalized, a need-to-know chain. So not even the people doing it know that what they're part of. Like Chip Tatum and other of these pilots had absolutely no idea that they were transporting cocaine back. You know, they came in coolers, they had no idea. And then one day, Chip told me that one of these coolers fell out, they had a bad landing, and boom, he said, oh my God, there are like 100 kilos of pure cocaine in it. So he got really worried and said, my God, what's going on? He reported to his boss, Oliver North, saying, what's going on? And Oliver North said, no, don't worry, this is just part of the game and you know, the war goodies like this, so don't worry about that. Okay, but after he understood that, whoa, what am I into? I thought I was in a military operation here. Suddenly I'm a drug dealer. So he started videotaping. They had all kind of high-tech equipment on these because they had to do it nighttime and so on. So he started videotaping people that I'm just going to mention here, all to collect evidence for his own life insurance, because he felt, I'm getting in way over my head here, and I'm so easy to get rid of if I do not collect life insurance.
So we're talking about Chip Tatum now,
Chip
right?
Tatum, yeah.
Right.
So he collected a lot of evidence that he later used, and that is why he's still alive. But back to Bill Clinton. One of the people that were part of receiving the drugs personally, we're talking hundreds and hundreds, tons of raw cocaine going into the States, was Governor Bill Clinton and his companion,
Really?
Dan Lasseter. They were part of receiving it together with George Bush Sr. He was also there sometimes personally. Normally they send other people, but he was also there, captured on tape and all of these things. Anyway, this drug that came into the States were then used to be distributed out over the whole state and started the whole crack epidemic through these people. Anyway, so Bill Clinton and Hillary, she is not clean either, I tell you. They come from a big background of very high level of criminality when it comes to frauds around real estate. You have the Whitewater scandal, and lots of murders on the way when they tried to cover it up.
Is that what Chip Tatum says?
If you look up to it, this has been documented over and over again. Just look up Mena, Arkansas. That is a small little airstrip that they used it's a small little town, just a few hundred houses or something like that.
How can the ordinary person who's been voting for either of the Clintons actually get some information about this? Because most people don't know anything about what you're talking about.
But this is one of the blessings with the internet. In the old days when I started, If you collected information, it was in your head only, and that made you a very vulnerable target as well, because if you started collecting too much, very easily they could sort you out, scare you, harass you, threaten their family, or if you became too much of a problem, clean you out.
But how much of all of this do you think could be disinformation?
Once again, you go back, you start talking to witnesses, you start looking into a long series of murders. How were they committed? Who committed them? Why did they commit them? The trials, the families that have been trying to get the truth out there for decades. You start looking into these things instead of just accepting the official story right away. You look in. That's the job of a researcher. You had to spend thousands of hours looking into this. And thank God for people like myself and others who have the dedication to do it. Not polishing my halo, I'm just saying, because there's so many of us that are asleep, so I'm just saying this is part of a wake-up call for us to wakey, and see what's going on, smell the coffee, take our power back, our personal power back, and let's just start creating a beautiful, beautiful world that this whole thing is designed to, instead of letting a small group of people, I mean, they're just a few thousand in total, but when you look at their actions, their hidden action, it involves, I cannot say the amount of criminality they're involved in on such a scale that it's like it infiltrates the whole, it affects the world in such a dark and awful way. So that is why I put myself online for all of these years, to expose them, just to put the spotlight on them in love. I'm not there to spread fear or anger. I do not hate these people. I just want them to stop it. Stop it.
So is that what is referred to as the New World Order?
That's their agenda. And when you go, once again, you go back, you study history, where do these people come from? You see these white-haired politicians and other people, and you say, oh, this is a new man on the arena in his early 60s. No, he has been active his whole life. We're doing something. You track it back, you go back and you see, oh my God, he was involved in that. Then he was involved in that. Then he was involved in that. That was involved. And the more loyal they are to the cause, their agenda, the higher they go up in the ranks, and the quicker they go up in the ranks. And to get back to Bill Clinton, he was invited to the Bilderberg meeting in, I'm not really sure which year it was, but for people who see how it goes, especially when you can only come to these meetings by invitation. You need at least 2 people inviting you, and it's the steering committee that invites them. And what you say is not true, that it's changed all the time. There's a core group that keeps coming.
Who are they? If you can mention some names.
Yeah, of course, I can come back to that. But you got like some of the people that are always there is like David Rockefeller, Henry Kissinger, Queen Beatrix, Queen Sofia of Spain. You had
But why do they have royalty there? It's a political think tank, right?
No. Yeah, but
why are the royals there?
But what is politics? Politics is power. Power, that is what they want. Power, control. These are the things. And I tell you, the more I look into the background behind these people, I have no idea how they function. I mean, when you look at the type of things they're into, what's going on with them? I do not get it. You know,
Why do you think that the royals are there as well, or some of the royals? Because obviously Prince Bernhard of Holland,
he was
one of Queen Beatrix's father,
he was one of the
founders, right?
Founders, yeah.
So why do you think that they are so involved when supposedly the royals do no longer have any particular political or financial power?
I think it's a very good supposedly. I like that word because that is what they're supposedly meant to be, but that's not the case. I mean, you got people like him, very active, Nazi background. You need to see that the power structure that financed the First and the Second World War. Once again, I do not say this lightly, but this group has been going on for a long time. Not the Bilderberg Group, but the same people, the same families, the same power elite have been working for a long time. Once again, I keep repeating this, long time. Because what they've been using is to centralize the power to fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer over the years.
Are those the bloodline families known as the Illuminati?
I don't want to go there. You better speak to people that are better on that. I can only say that I know certain people, but I can also see that they love to intermarry, keep it within the families. But these bloodline, there are other people much better at that, and the Illuminati as well. We're talking at the top of the power, but this world of conspiracy, it's so big.
So the Bilderberg Group is not on top of the pyramid?
They're absolutely not the top of the pyramid, absolutely not. Some people in the steering committee, I would say, are connected higher up. That's why they're on the steering committee. They're the one driving the bus. The Bilderberg Group, in total, many of them, once again, I do not think that they're aware of what they're being invited to. Young and naive, like with many people, they start out naive with good intentions. Yeah, we're going to change the world. And then you get invited into these, Freemasonry groups and brotherhoods, and come in and we're going to help each other, and great, and we can help each other with business and so on. And then the more you get involved and involved and involved with the Freemasonry as well, which is very intertangled in this whole thing we're talking about.
Really?
Then they start having to go through different rituals. And these rituals are like tests, and they do not know if they passed or not, but you can see the people that pass the test, when it comes to their agenda, starts going up, up, up. So you got, like, in the Freemasonry, you got the lower levels that are sort of the beautiful front cover. We are the brotherhood that, we help, and we do charities, and we do all of these things. And
don't you think there are a lot of wonderful Freemasons who are doing great things, who does have no evil intentions at all?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. But they're on the lower levels.
Right.
They're on the lower levels. The higher up you come, the more you come to what's going on, the more these people know. So once you start seeing the level that these people, and many of them that comes here, are on that level. Not the amateurs down here, which are just, like, I think, a beautiful facade, Once you come up there, we're talking about a totally different day. These are the people driving the bus. The other ones are just following. And it's the same with the Bilderberg Group as well. People are being invited there to see, will they fit in? Can we use them? Can we, like that? Bill Clinton was one of them. The reason he was involved or got invited, I would say, is worked fine on camera, looked good, charming personality, had shaken hands with Kennedy. They even had a photo of that. He had some similarities, facial, and so on. And they had him by the balls when it came to the whole drug thing. And he was fine. He was fine, I will follow you, I will do whatever, no morals whatsoever. And boom, within a year, he was one of the candidates for presidency. Where did he come from? Absolute nowhere. I mean, come on.
But Hillary too now.
Now, then you go
Foreign
back
minister.
to Hillary. Hillary, once again, super criminal when you look into it. When you really look back, check out her background. Check out Whitewater, the scandals. Check out Vince Foster, one of their friends that murdered, suicided, shot with the wrong. There's a long row of murders around this couple. Hillary and Bill Clinton, and the way that she has manipulated her way in, I tell you, this is a scary woman. I would not like to spend time alone with her.
Some Republicans will probably be very happy about what you're saying because it's not very flattering to the Clintons. But how about all the other presidents, since you're talking about those two particularly?
When it comes to presidents, we're talking the States, yeah? United States. In my opinion, the last real elected president was JFK, and even he was elected with some fraud. There was some fraud going on with the help of the Chicago mob, where JFK's father was you know, okay, if I help you here and here, you get me some more votes in Illinois. And they helped, you know, with some dead people counting.
He was part of the elite as well. Elite family.
Yeah, for sure, big time. So he got in there, and he was easily manipulated, because this is the whole thing. You get the president as like a front cover. You got the whole machine behind you. Like the one I'm talking about now, it's a war machine of death and destruction, this whole thing. And then you got a nice front cover, a face that you can just change at every four year, or whoever fits in to your agenda. So with JFK, it had started already there. And if you listen to the Dwight Eisenhower, his goodbye speech, he said, please be aware of the military-industrial complex. It has totally infiltrated every single town, every school, every city, every government part of Soviet. We need to watch out for this military-industrial complex. They are taking over. That was 1961. He was warning about this because he saw it, and he had been used by them as well. He did not understand it, that he was just a general that got, and who helped him in? Prescott Bush, George Bush Sr.'s father. He was the one that pushed Dwight Eisenhower into the presidency. Okay. Then the one that took over, you had Richard Nixon, that was on the way up, and then you had John F. Kennedy. And what happened, JFK was working better in media, so they chose him, or he was elected. It was the closest election ever. It was like so close. JFK won. He was in the beginning, I mean, the whole thing just blossomed. It was flair and luxury and glamour and all of this, and Jackie Kennedy, everybody loved them. And there was this fresh air of like change, and we can change the world, and super. And he was into lots of parties, women, all of these things. You know, they looked great, beautiful couple. So people were easily manipulated. He was not a strong politician in any way. And then came the Cuban Missile Crisis, where what happened was that Khrushchev, the Russian leader, sent some vessels with what is supposed to be missiles towards Cuba. Okay, Cuba is very close to the United States, so the United States freaked out and said, "My God, if you don't stop this ship, we will start a nuclear war against you." Okay, so Khrushchev, he tried to stop it, and they said, if you pass this longitude, we will press the button and we will start the Third World War. By mistake, the orders didn't reach the ship, so it passed that line, the longitude. And everybody in the room, I heard witnesses talk about that. They said the whole military leadership was like, press it, get it going, you know, yeah, because death and destruction is their agenda. War makes kings, you know. War creates incredible fortunes and incredible control.
But where do you have all this information from?
It's historical facts. You can look into it. It is available for anyone. I'm just putting it forward. I'd say, don't trust me. Do your own research. Look into it. If you think what I'm saying is absolute bollocks, fine with me.
So this is official?
It is.
Is this something you can get through the Freedom of Information Act?
No, you don't have to. It's out there. It's very easy. These things are very easy accessible. It's always like 30 years down the line, you can easily see what happened then. Most of it is you have to find out what's going on now, not in 30 years, because if you want to make a change. Anyway, so people said that everybody was going like, press it, and more or less, Kennedy was sitting symbolically more or less with a finger on the button that could start. And they said he had tears in his eyes, and he just said, oh my God, I refuse to be the one that do this to the world. From that point,
the Cuban
Missile Crisis. When he sat with a finger, I think that he had sort of like an enlightening and awakening call, just like, oh my God, what am I part of creating? I almost destroyed half the world's population, you know. And from that point, suddenly you have a totally different JFK who says, I'm going to make a change. This madness has to stop. So what he says is, I'm going to crush the CIA 1,000 pieces. I'm going to withdraw out of Vietnam, which it hadn't even started. They had only like some few thousand advisors there. And that whole Vietnam War was not about communism or anything. It was drugs from the Golden Triangle into Vietnam and then through Vietnam into the States. It was a matter of drugs, drugs, drugs. Okay, and war. The whole thing is drugs, wars, weapon. That is, when you see on a global scale, it keeps repeating. Oil as well, and pedophile trafficking. These are the main ingredients is what is going on. You just have different conflicts. You change the name, same shit, different name. Same look, different location,
but
same
Kennedy
agenda.
must have known all this when he was elected.
No,
or selected.
No, but these people do not know. I mean, you come in as a president, they had absolutely no idea, I would say, to a lot of these things.
Was JFK part of the Bilderberg Group,
No,
which
absolutely.
existed at the time?
No, absolutely not.
You never attended a meeting,
As far as I
we
know. As far as I know.
Really?
No. But what happened was that after the Cuban Missile, I said he wanted to destroy the CIA. Unheard of. He fired some of the holy cows in the CIA. Unheard of. One of them being Alan Dulles, who was he was the one that started the OSS, which was the pre the CIA. Yeah, he was the one that arranged. He was actually one of the he and his brother were the lawyers for I.G. Farben. I.G. Farben was, you can almost put an equal sign with that and the Hitler war machine. I.G. Farben, and that it's central in the whole.
Was he German?
No. He was American. The Dulles brothers, and the other brother was later the not the foreign minister, but the minister of defense, I think. He and Alan Dulles, Prescott Bush, these people were sent over there to support Hitler, to get the whole conflict going. That's the whole idea. Get it going.
So you're saying that they funded Hitler?
Not them personally, they were part of it. Prescott Bush, he was not a wealthy guy at that point, but he funneled the funds. He was there bringing in the cash, but from...
To the Nazis?
Yeah, big time. This is historical facts. You're so welcome to look into it. If I'm wrong, please tell me. Okay, so what they did was also, because what they do is they go in and create a conflict. They do it on a regular basis. And one of the warmongers, Henry Kissinger, he and Lord Carrington, both Bilderbergers, are the two people that for decades have gone in. You create a conflict, and then you send in Henry Kissinger or Lord Carrington to try and like they say, put oil on the waves. Absolutely not true. They are there to get the explosion going, to get the whole conflict going, because they focus on different areas and then they destroy country by country by country. And the weapons they use, some countries they go into with military force. I mean, NATO and the UN, once again, please study history. I'm not saying this lightly. The creation of NATO and the commander of NATO is a Bilderberg appointment. The creation of the UN, United Nations, is by Rockefeller, Rothschild, these people in the group that is also the ones that were part and big time in Bilderberg and the creation of this whole New World Order.
The chairman of NATO is the former Danish Prime Minister.
It's a Bilderberg appointment. It is a Bilderberg appointment.
He's also part of the meeting this year just next door at the Marriott Hotel. And Kissinger is just behind us also in the hotel along with all of these people. And Kissinger is over 90 now. Mm. And Lord Carrington, as you just mentioned, was the former chairman of Bilderberg, the Bilderberg Group at some point. Yeah. Do you really think that they are very interconnected in that way?
I don't think I know. Study history, find out the facts, see for yourself, and you will see it is incredible the spider web that is behind these things. And other tools that they are using that they created for this is the World Bank, because if they can't hit, they want to destabilize countries. They want, like, they see the world as like a disco mirror ball, you know, and what they want is a one glass ball, no borders, one world army, so that they can control the whole thing, So they're trying to erase the national borders. So they knock out country by country by country. Some people they do with military force, boom, knock them out. Other did I say people? I mean countries. Other countries they hit financially, and then they use the World Bank, which is their creation, and the International Monetary Fund. They are highly criminal organization, incredibly criminal organization. They just sound great because the World Bank, look into it, look into the people, look how they're interconnected with incredible criminality.
So how about Russia and China, the next superpower?
I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. I don't know what's really going on. These are because now they're going into new territories. There are new generations taking over in these different groups and so on. So there's a whole shift going on that I.
So there are Chinese members in the Bilderberg Group as well, or have we never heard of that?
There have been, but recently, I think it's only the last few years. So they started integrating because what I have found out, I'm not sure because these are tricky things to know because there's a lot of disinformation sent out as well. But one of the parts of the agenda of the New World Order is to move the power center from around the States to China, to move the whole thing over there and start the whole new, like a new world from there. So China is the next place for them to take over. They already built up massive big towns that are just waiting, empty, beautiful, beautiful town.
In China?
In China and other countries. You can also find on the internet incredible buildings, absolutely incredible buildings.
Well, in your book called Coup d'etat in slow motion, basically about the Olof Palme murder. He was the former prime minister of Sweden.
And the Bilderberger.
And the Bilderberger,
yeah.
Okay. You also write about something called Operation 40.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know what Operation 40 is. So maybe you can talk about that, because it seems it leads up to a lot of conclusions about what happened at the Olof Palme murder, and maybe even the Kennedy murder. So please tell us a little bit about what you're writing about in your book.
I would be so happy to do that. And the reason why you have not heard about Operation 40 is because it's been a super secret hit team. Super secret means not available for people to find out. The whole thing is that they should not be found out. But it has come out more and more people have...
So we know they exist.
God, yeah.
It's not like it, because now the mainstream media and everybody is reporting about the Bilderberg Group a lot anyway, that is taking place here in Denmark.
No, but this goes way back. Once again, the great thing with over the years going by is that people get old, and then when many of them, when they're on their deathbed, they say, "Oh my God, I need to tell these things. You know, I need to expose what I've been part of." And then you get a lot of facts coming. Some of them fake as well. Because I would say that
some is disinformation.
You always need to be very aware of what's coming out and get it, if you can get it confirmed, and then slowly build it together to see it. And like I said, it's 30 years of my life. It is not something I've done easily. But Operation 40 is a group that was created under the supervision of Dwight Eisenhower. We're talking around 1960. Why is it interesting why this happened? I mean, it's so many years ago. The thing is, it is still active. That's the
What year are we talking about?
Around 1960.
Okay.
59, 60. Okay, so Dwight Eisenhower, the idea did not come from him, but he approved of it, and he gave the task to his vice president, Richard Nixon, vice president at that time. This was before Kennedy, to put together, with the help of the CIA, people that had been part of taking out the Guatemala, Iran, these other countries. I mean, they were very successful at that time. They also got out the Dalai Lama and so on. They were doing great. People from the CIA, that they used veterans from this group. So they put together that, and what they used was, because Castro had just taken over Cuba, and that was a massive problem for them, because they, at that point, the so-called government and the people behind, I mean, we're talking about the military-industrial complex. We're talking about companies like Standard Oil, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, United Fruits, these type of companies. And the mob were getting very connected because they used the mob in many areas. When they couldn't do it themselves, they used the mob and so on. And the mob were helping them to get in a lot of cash through different illegal things, one of them being gambling. And Cuba at that time, before Castro took over, was the paradise of gambling, where the whole mob was, great big parts of the mob were centralized to Havana and other things. It was bigger than Las Vegas and Atlantic City together, the income coming from there. We're not talking small potatoes, this is big time. And then comes Fidel Castro and just takes over the country and kicks them all out. Absolute mayhem. They were like, what? Total shock. And then he even says, I'm a communist, I was going to talk to Khrushchev and the Russians. Oh my God, we need to take this bearded guy out.
So it was because of the mafia?
What was because of the mafia?
That he kicked them out?
No, he kicked them out because he wanted Cuba back to the Cubans. Mm-hmm. He said, absolutely, what are you doing here? You are robbing our country. Get out. So he just kicked the whole bunch out. Mob, casinos, foreign companies, out. Okay, so what they said, okay, let's get the beard. So they put together this group called Operation 40. It was a team of, like I said, CIA veterans and mostly exiled Cubans, people that had fled Cuba, come to Miami. They were recruited there by the CIA people, and they became they got under hard training, anything from jungle warfare to blowing up things to poisoning people. You know, any type of things you need as a top assassin. And what they used was former military people, former people from the Air Force, police, and so on. Hard people, you know, highly disciplined, many of them, very violent.
So they were trained like what they say super soldiers are.
This is a modern word for it, but I wouldn't call them super soldiers, I would call them highly skilled assassins. And the people in this group, Operation 40, they were, in the beginning there were about 80 of them. This group was aimed at Castro, this weapon was aimed at Castro. They tried several times to take him out, did not work. And then this thing happened with Kennedy, that suddenly he just betrayed the people who had put him in power. He suddenly, like I say, he wanted to crush the CIA, he wanted to get away from the Federal Bank Reserve. Once again, super criminal institution. I mean, look into the Federal Bank Reserve. Unreal what they've done to the world. Unreal, and it has nothing to do with a stately thing. It is only the name Federal. They've taken it on purpose. Same power group behind it, creating this whole thing that financially has put this world into an absolute mess. Okay, so, and other things. He was doing a lot of things to stop the madness. He just wanted, let's create a beautiful world instead of this absolute mad place that they are trying to create. So they said, let's take him out, which they did. And the people that took him out was not the mob, not the CIA, not the Secret Service. It was an unholy alliance between them. It was just like when they killed Julius Caesar. Everybody had to stab him, not so that nobody could point at the other one saying it was him, because without giving up themselves. So what they did was everybody involved has to supply shooters. So when you look at Dealey Plaza, and I identify more or less all of the shooters' positions, how they got their getaway cars, who financed them, you name it. If you want to, I can get into great detail about that. Most of the people, the shooters, were from Operation 40.
Really?
Operation 40. And the people in Dealey Plaza, because the whole Dealey Plaza that day was filled with people, assassins. It's absolutely unreal once you start looking into it.
So they were assassins, the people on the ground and on the field? And
Yeah. The whole thing was that the official route was straight down through downtown Dallas, right up to the Trademark Center where he was going to hold a speech. The route was changed at Dealey Plaza, and suddenly it made a 90-degree turn to the right, then a 120-degree turn to the left, would slow down the whole motorcade. It breaks all type of security rules to do a thing like that, to pass by the Texas School Book Depository, where the so-called patsy is said to have been. But the real thing is that there were more than triangular fire. There was many shooters in different buildings. Like I say, I can go into great detail who did what and where they were positioned, where they shot, and so on.
And they were these programmed soldiers from operating?
Not programmed. You're going too early. The programming come later, as far as I know. These were not programmed. They were just highly skilled assassins. And so you got these exiled Cubans, CIA people, Secret Service, and people from the mob. One of them from the Marseille mob that was imported by Sam Giancana just for this, what they called the big event. Anyway, the people that were there in Dealey Plaza were, like there was one man called David Morales. He was also called the Indio. He was later named the top assassin of Latin America. He was in Dealey Plaza, not taking he was driving one of the cars, but he was not shooting or anything. He was also one of the people in the Ambassador Hotel when Robert Kennedy was shot, together with top CIA people, not the people shooting, but doing the surveillance of the whole operation. He was also in Bolivia, where Felix Rodriguez, from Operation 40, he was also the right hand of George Bush Sr., who was the paymaster for Operation 40 at a young age, the guy who later became president. He was the paymaster of the one that funneled the funds into Operation 40. Okay?
How do we know that?
It is, once again, historical facts. These things you can find out yourself now. It's come out more and more through top secret documents that have been released by different from, every 25 years they have to release, or every 10 years and so on, they have to release documents, and you find out these things are come forward. Not secret anymore. The problem is that people cannot see the dots connected. That's the thing. That is what I've been trying to do. Not so much find out information that did not exist or was not known before, but to connect the things, that could connect the events, the dots.
And because the media is not reporting it also, right?
Yeah, the media is totally not there. I used to work as a journalist, so I know how stressful a job it is. And when you get a lot of different assignments. But nowadays, it's almost done by design, that people are talking about journalists now, there are so many assignments, small ones and real important ones, like what did Britney Spears have for breakfast, or that football player, my God, his knee injury, let's focus on that one. Instead of seeing, oh my God, my country has been taken over by, there's some very, very odd things going on. People are disappearing, there are very strange things going on. That is the thing that I would say journalists ought to focus upon.
So they're focusing on celebrities and gossip.
The thing is, it's not, the editors are pushing it, and they're being controlled by the owners. Who owns the media? I'm not saying all of it, but nowadays it is so focused to a very few people in many of the Western countries connected, that the media is controlled indirectly. And also the editors, I know the chief editors in Sweden, for instance, on all the newspapers, are part of what is called the defense, a special part of the Swedish defense that goes also together with the psychological defense that are there. Their agenda officially is to push or direct the observation of the population in a direction that is good for national security. What does that mean? Sometimes I would say divert the attention away from important stuff, and sometimes, well, you tell me what they're doing. I mean, the psychological defense. But many of the key people in the media are connected to that, and that part is connected upwards, and the defense is controlled by people like in the Bilderberg Group. So we
need to know basis.
This is the thing. I would say most people are great people. I see beautiful people everywhere, in uniform, without uniform, you name it. Great people that are doing their best on a daily basis to take care of their family and kids and mortgages and all of these things. But they do not always know exactly what they're being part of. Because this is by design very compartmentalized on a need-to-know basis. You, in a bank, for instance, you meet the teller, the cashier. The cashier has no idea what's going on in the office of her boss. The boss is connected to a higher level of bankers. The owner of the bank is connected with other banks. These banks are then connected on a higher level. So it's, once again, it's the same, and this is just with banks, but it goes with most.
So it's compartmentalized.
Totally, and everybody thinks, I'm just doing this, I'm just doing this, I'm just doing this. There's nothing bad about this. But once you start to see the whole picture, I mean, it's by design that you are not supposed to understand what you're part of. But this goes down all the way down to hit teams. Many of these hit teams, they don't even know who they're targeting. Why people are being taken out, they have no idea.
So they're killing people without knowing what they're doing?
Yeah, their task is...
who they're killing?
Their task is to take that person out. Why? No idea. Where does the order come from? No idea. Where does the payment?
It's just a job.
For them, it's just a job. One is a butcher of cows, another one is a butcher of human beings.
So would you say that those killers, trained killers, are they part of what some suggest is a mind control programming MK Ultra that has been official, that existed?
MK Ultra has been going on for decades and decades and decades, and many of the things they have tried to is how to compartmentalize, split up the mind in different personalities. They do that in awful ways. I'm now talking about in the 60s and 70s and so on, where Olof Palme was one of the people part of these operations.
Also MK Ultra?
The Swedish version of mind control.
He was part of that?
He was part of that, and
Really?
also with microchipped in the brain of people. In the 70s there was a big scandal about this. But that's just Sweden. It's been going on in most countries. Do not think that Denmark is an exception.
Please explain what type of thing actually took place when they created these mind-controlled soldiers or people, slaves, whatever they have been talking about. MK Ultra.
MK Ultra is just one name of it. There's many different names, many different sectors, and so on. After the Second World War, when peace finally came to the world, yoo-hoo, we're fine. The Nazi war machine, thank God it's all over, Hitler's gone. What happened? You had a handful of people, many of them low-level generals, that had to take the fall, okay? And then you killed the other ones. There were some suicided, or Goering and these people. They say that whatever. They had to take the fall. So everybody thought, thank God, evil has gone. Let's celebrate and build up a new world. What they did not know was that what was started was Operation Paperclip. Now, Operation Paperclip was organized by Alan Dulles, if you remember, the founder of OSS, later the CIA. Later deeply involved in the assassination of JFK and part of the Warren Commission. He was the one fired by JFK, and then he was one of the members in the Warren Commission looking into the death. I mean, come on. You got one of the men with the most motive to kill someone, and then you put him in the investigation. Okay, go figure. But what they did was they organized what was called Operation Paperclip, a rat line with the support of the Vatican State, where they exported loads, here's the expression again, thousands and thousands of hardened veterans, Nazis, out from Germany into the States, into South America, into Europe, and so some of them stayed in China. And with these experts, because they were highly intelligent, very skilled people at their task, Werner von Braun, you had Reinhard Gehlen, that was part of building up the whole Stay Behind movement. He was also the guy that murdered Nikola Tesla. And
how do we know that?
Once again, historical facts. You can just look it up.
So we know that Reinhard Gehlen was part of murdering Nikola Tesla.
He and Hitler's former bodyguard were the ones that took out Nikola Tesla. This is today a fact. It has come forward. Deathbed confessions, once again. The guy, Hitler, I can't remember his name now, on his deathbed, he admitted to that they took him out, they strangled him. And then his inventions, everything was disappeared from his house and everything. But Nikola Tesla is just one of many, many amazing human beings. Him being one of the most brilliant people ever, I would say.
One of the greatest scientists in the
But you got
20th
other
century.
people like Victor Schauberger when it comes to water, incredible, you have Wilhelm Reich with Organite, these type of people. What happened to them? Very similar fate, They made incredible inventions and discoveries from human mankind that could help to lift this whole world out of slavery, because free energy, all of these wonderful things. This group, the elite group,
that would compromise the whole
that would
oil
compromise
industry
the
and
whole
all of it.
thing. I mean, we got all these forms of energy thing, that coal, oil, that's like Stone Age. But that's the way they control us. And the elite do not want us to find out about these things. So what have they done? Stolen all of these inventions. There's about 5,000-6,000 of them that I know of that has been stolen, covered up.
About free energy.
Free energy and many, many different, or things that could really revolutionize the world. And then chop, kill the person, kill the inventor, or totally destroy him. That's the agenda.
And people can find out more information about that if they search for it online.
Stanley Meyer with a water engine. Like I said, Wilhelm Reich, you got Victor Schauberger, both of them died in 1958. Nikola Tesla. I mean, God, just only Nikola Tesla, his discoveries, it's just unreal what that could, if that was released to the world today, his discoveries, boom.
They talk about he invented the possibility of time travel and
I don't know about these things, but yes,
lots of other and teleportation.
I don't want to go into that because it's that I lose credibility. Exactly, I lose credibility right away if I talk about that. But when you just on energy, free energy, taking out of atmosphere and the different things he did, unreal. And free us from this oil and coal and thing controlled by, once again, the elite, indirectly the Bilderberg Group, that are just keeping us by the throat and by the balls to control us, big time. That's the whole thing. Control us.
But are they giving it too much power, the Bilderberg Group, that also has, like, how should we say it, more low-key politicians that may only be there for a couple of years or maybe even just on a stopover for 1 year?
I can totally understand that is how you see it. And I would also say that many of these members that are invited once or twice, absolutely, I think they're invited in and feel, whoa, I'm with the big boys now, and then they're not invited anymore because they've used them the way they needed to, or like for Ines Uusmann, for instance, in Sweden, she was just used around the Estonia to help to cover that up, take the part of sitting and lying into all the families and so on. Poor woman. I mean, my God, she was like a nervous wreck afterwards. And once they used her, goodbye, farewell, out the window. Not that she died, but out of the club. She was never invited back. These are the things you need to see when they are repeatedly invited, and most people that gets invited, their career, if they follow the agenda, if they show their loyalty, boom, their career just goes woof. They come from nowhere and up to top positions. And many of these people are not very clever. They just go into top positions where they follow the agenda. They carry them out.
Some researchers suggest that also happens in the world of entertainment and celebrities, that they're also kind of, how should we say, invited to become very famous and have a certain great career.
I would say that this group, I'm talking about the global elite now, not just pointing at the Bilderberg Group, but what is called the global elite. They are in every area now because they worked so hard to centralize the power over so many years, that at the moment they are in a situation where they are in great control in most areas. All the areas, I would say, that affects us on a daily basis. And one of these areas are the music business, the film industry, the media, TV, politics, anything that has to do around wars, these things, and the legal system, and not to forget the education system. check out the members who have been to these meetings when it comes to education. See the quality of the school education over the years, like this, from important knowledge. How can I do something good for humanity? How can I make a difference for people around me? How can I use philosophy, that humanity has been gathering for years and years and years, how can I use these things? Instead, you're being pumped with a lot of useless information that most people, you go into high school, you come out 3-4 years later, like, have you ever used anything of what you learned there? No, not really. A lot of us have, at least that's what I'm saying. And many people come out of school, they can't even spell nowadays. Shouldn't it be that the school system gets better and better and better, that people spell even better and write even more beautiful and can even more than the generations before? It's going straight down the drain.
So you're saying that education is not a good thing?
I say education is super important. And we're not talking about anything else than education. Educate yourself. Find out what's going on. And I often speak directly to police, uniformed personnel, soldiers, which is one of the most tragic areas when it comes to these things. Educate yourself. Find out what's going on.
But that's research more than education. It's not a real education with a diploma, huh?
What is the difference? I mean, the more education is to learn.
Well, in the system, it makes a lot of difference. It's very important for people if they want to hire somebody for a job
For
that
sure.
you get an education. It's all about education for being skilled and trained for this and that.
I think education is super important. I'm just saying, look at the people, look at the quality of the education. What is going on? Why is it just going down the drain? Why are there so many areas where when people apply for jobs, they can't even they can't even fill in their application? Check it out. I'm not just saying this. Check it out. The quality is going like this. When it comes to the medical area, which is another big pharma thing, which is so connected to this oil, and from the oil comes most of the medicines. The whole big pharma is super controlled and owned by these people. Okay, who are the ones that are sponsoring the education of doctors? Who are the ones that gives the grants, all of these things? Check it, go. You come back to the Rockefeller, these type of people. Back. Who are the Rockefellers? The same people that created this group. Who are the Rockefellers? They were the same that donated the plot where the UN whole building was part. They were part of creating it. They were part of creating the Federal Bank Reserve. They were part of creating the UN. They were part of creating the UN troops. These things. Check it out. Find out what's going on. And then when it comes to police officers and people in uniform, this is the most tragic area, I think, because it's come to a point where they are defending this group or people of this magnitude of criminality. Because I think it is criminal on a very high level if you start getting yourself entangled in actions that are creating wars in different countries, that are invading, totally raping, plundering countries for everything they're worth, destroying so many different areas in life. If you are involved in an agenda like that, it is criminal against humanity.
But so how is the music business and the film industry involved? You just spoke about that as well.
The music industry is because how do you control the population? It's just how can we control you if I was the global? The thing that works has worked ever since the Beatles and Elvis. One of the things, music. Music is the one that will get the youth hooked and that you can start controlling. Okay, films, media, TV, do not forget this black box. That is one of the main tools that they are using against us. And through these different areas, they are controlling. It used to, I would say the music business used to be talent. That's it, talent. Now, money and control. That is the only thing that matters, And it's come to a point, incredibly tragically, that an artist can be more worth dead than alive. So when some people, when they start going downhill, they eliminate them. And
are we talking about Michael Jackson and
we're
Whitney
talking
Houston
about,
and
these are very spot on, but there are quite a few people they've taken out, but for other reasons. But exactly with the motive I'm talking about, these are two key murders, where and
murders? You say
murders.
both Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson.
Yes, we're both talking about murders.
By whom?
Once again, we're back to who personally killed Whitney Houston, for instance. I cannot say who did the physical action of. I can go. I don't know if you got time that we can go into details with this murder, but
no, just a little, because that might shock people a lot, because that's something they relate to even more because of the celebrity phenomena.
It was a very, very tragic event, I would say, but it is a murder that you have to look into the whole setup, how it's done, because it builds up. They always do. They build the whole thing up so that when it happens, they can make absolute billions from it. And by seeing the build-up to this event, if this is a terror act, a political assassination, a 9/11 event, or something like that, when you can see the sudden build-up before it happens, and then boom, it happens, they make billions, you will be able to see the only way they could know about this is insiders. And how could they know about that? You start tracking back. Where did the information come? How did they know, for instance, if there's a bomb going off, that just a week before it happens, they just change the insurance policy so that it includes a terror act, and then double it so that they will get double it. This is just one of, when you look into these big conspiracies, I tell you there will be thousands.
But what does that have to do with Whitney Houston's death?
I'm sorry, I went like this. Whitney Houston's death was built up like this as well, and there was a lot of signs saying that she was coming to a point of her career. Her voice was dead. You know, she had been using too many drugs, and it was just not. She was not worth it anymore. And what they did, the whole build-up was to set up a thing that if she died, the whole, how shall I say?
Record
boom.
sales?
Yeah, exactly. Prepare all the record sales, prepare. She had just been they were planning on a new edition of The Bodyguard. There was a new Jennifer Hudson that was to take over. They called her the new Whitney Houston. Everything was that. And Clive Davis, who was Whitney Houston's discoverer, he was the one that discovered her, and her manager over all of these years. He was part of this whole setup.
Do you really think so?
Yeah. What happened?
How do you know anything? How do you know that there is any truth in this?
Okay. I can point out some details. The official story was that she came to the hotel room early afternoon. She said, I'm just going to take a bath. And an hour later, about 3 p.m., she was found dead in the bathtub. Okay. The official story is that she had somehow taken too much medication and drinking at the same time, so she had slipped into the bathtub and drowned. Okay. By the way, the medication came from the exact same pharmacy as the medication that was found at Michael Jackson's death. Okay. Los Angeles is a key position when they want to take people out. Los Angeles, so many of these assassinations are done in LA under the control of Los Angeles, because that is I would say, a super corrupt police force there, and they have all the key people needed to cover it up. Okay, so Whitney Houston, then you start seeing, okay, so what happened? What did the witnesses say? I mean, my God, it was so tragic. That's what was pumped out. You start looking into what happened. Okay. So Whitney Houston, it was said that she went in at 2 p.m., 3 p.m. she was found dead. The bodyguard that pulled her out of the bathtub said that she was already cold in a hot bathtub. How is that possible? We're back to Farmer Brown logic. I only go for Farmer Brown logic. 1 + 1 = 2. If somebody says 1 + 1 = 34, I don't care if they're a professor with a title the size of this, it is not true. And if they try to force it down my throat, there's a reason for that. And the reason why they're trying to do that is to cover up the reason for what happened. So by tracking this lie that they're trying to push us, you can track down the motive. Do you follow my... Yeah. Okay. So with Whitney, she was cold, and they said she was found with her head down and the legs standing up like this. So she couldn't just slip down. So you start looking at what happened around that. She was dead. She was dead at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was the night of the pre-Grammy event. And Clive Davis, her manager, was the arranger of this party. I think there was about 800. The whole music business was invited there that night. So what do you think, for instance, if somebody dies in a hotel room, they would come in an ambulance. If she was dead, they would take her to the the morgue, and in the morgue they would do an autopsy and find out what happened. Is that reasonable to think? Okay. She was left dead in the apartment, in the suite, until after midnight, while the whole party was going on. Her dead body was just upstairs, left there by Clive Davis, asked particularly the security of the hotel to leave her there, and the coroner...
And do we know that he asked for them to leave it there?
This is, once again, according to the security at the hotel. They were asked by Clive Davis and the people around her, leave the body there. Okay. You go back, you see what happened before that. The day before, Bobby Christine, the daughter of Whitney Houston, was found almost dead in the bathtub. Same time, same suite.
Some people say that it was her that was supposed to be. Some speculate about that.
I would say that I think that what happened was that there was some kind of drink, the champagne or whatever, that had been spiced because Bobby Christine was almost unconscious when they found her. I would think that what they would gain the most from was absolutely Whitney Houston, not her daughter, because her daughter at that time had no real impact, no real weight when it came to this, no way for them to make millions. So I would say, I think that she by mistake had some of that drink and almost died there. Okay, so what are the chances, I would just say, that the exact same thing happening to the daughter, and then 24 hours later the exact same thing killed her? Then there was a guest on the level in the hotel the day underneath the suite. He said he woke up in the morning about 2 a.m., 3 a.m., something like that, 2:30, because there was a loud bang upstairs, and he said that there was water coming down in his bathroom, big time. So he said, oh my God. So he called the security and said, check it out, we need to stop the leak, there's something up there. So the man from the hotel, he went with him up there, and when they entered the suite, the guard said that this is actually Whitney Houston's suite, because they had rented the whole floor in the hotel. Okay, so what the man said, that he was not in there seeing the bathroom he didn't see her, but because he was standing waiting for the guy to turn off the water and so on. But what he said, that he saw that there was a plasma screen that was crashed, so that had been some kind of violence going on. So if you look at the time, would that time fit in with a dead body that was almost stiff 12 hours later? Yes. Would her going in at 2 p.m. and a dead body 3 p.m. cold in hot water fit? No. Farmer Brown logic. What happened? Who did it? And so on. Then you see what happened, like she had not even been pronounced dead before iTunes and Sony doubled the prices of all her songs, and they had prepared like a tribute album, they had prepared like the whole thing was just set up. So within minutes almost before she's dead, boom, the prices went up like that, and they made a fortune.
And we know this?
Yeah, you check it out for yourself. I'm not saying these things just because it's fun to sit here and talk. That is the thing. You check it out. If I'm full of bullshit, fine by me. Then call me a liar. Okay. But I'm telling you, this is the thing. Check it out for yourself.
Are you saying the same kind of thing happened with Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson is a different story that I don't want to go into because I haven't studied that enough. I can just see extreme similarities. And also Michael Jackson, before he died, suddenly became, from being an easy person to manipulate and just follow like this, he was suddenly somebody that said, listen guys, Sony and the head of Sony is the devil. That's you can see the press conferences, they've been filmed and so on. He said the devil. I'm not saying Satan, but I'm saying the devil of the music business. And they're trying to totally control us, totally manipulate us, use us, all of these. You can also listen in his lyrics, there's a lot about these things. And then once he started confronting them, saying, we need to really change this, we need to stop them, boom, suddenly he's dead.
Do you think that we were talking earlier about mind control and MK Ultra and similar programs? Do you think that played a part within the whole thing about Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston? Do you think they could have been part of this mind control
I can only say, I don't know about these two, but I know a lot of other things that are going on in Hollywood. It's like Roseanne, she's one of the people that talks a lot.
Roseanne has talked about
big
mind
time,
control.
yeah, that the whole scene in Hollywood. I mean, we're talking a small group of people, but a small group of people that have a massive impact on the world, you know. So.
And the same happened with what you said, what they did, what you talked about the Nazis and what they were implementing, and they were bringing Nazis over to America after the war.
That's what I got off track. But this is with these Nazis that they exported and then imported through Operation Paperclip, with the assistance of the Vatican State, which is deeply involved in these type of things also. You got the financial center in London, you got the war center in Washington, you got the religious center in the Vatican, and these interact like this: oil, weapons, drugs, pedophile, trafficking, these type of things. Once again, not saying this lightly, check it out. And it's falling apart now. It's falling apart more and more. So anyway, so what they did was they imported these people, these hardened SS, extreme Nazis, many of them, that had been working in the concentration camps, doing awful experiments, like Mengele and other people, Klaus Barbier, people like that were imported and started building up NASA, CIA, and so on. And these organizations used, not NASA, but CIA and other organizations used these people.
NSA, you mean? Or what?
No, NSA, that was later on. But used... I mean, mind control is one thing that has been fascinating for them for years and years, because how to be able to control the human mind and how to be able to use people as assassins or whatever, you know. So they've been really digging into that, how to be able to do it, and they succeeded early on. What they do is they split up the personality by putting a human being through awful, awful experiences, so that it's almost like the soul or the mind of the body is just, when the pain is too much, it just boom, and it splits up the personality. So it divides it into, and you can get them into multiple personalities, depending on what type of awful, because it needs a lot of horror and pain and what do you call it? Fear, trauma is one of the key words. Trauma, to split it up like that. Once they split them up, then they can make them switch between these personalities, so that
they create multiple personalities disorder.
And, yeah, exactly. And then they find methods how they can switch between personalities, so that, for instance, you, Lucas, you are one now, and then if you have gone through this, Lucas have no idea that another part of your personality, Mr. Brown, for instance, can do other things, and you will not be aware of it. This is the scary thing. So they can activate you like this, and suddenly you go into Mr. Brown personality. And Mr. Brown personality can commit atrocities, and then switch back. Lucas has no idea what's going on, and so it's very scary. It's a very scary area. And
so that could happen with all of these assassins, these soldiers that have committed these crimes, not knowing that they have done it. Because I mean, you must be at least a psychopath and not have feelings if you can kill people like that.
I would not say absolutely not all, but there are some key people that have been very in this. You got Sirhan, the man accused of shooting Robert Kennedy. I will just say that many of these big things that somebody like me is being accused of, being a conspiracy theorist or something like that, are no-brainers. You have Sirhan, you have Robert Kennedy. Robert Sirhan approaches Robert Kennedy from the front. He has a revolver with 8 bullets in it. More than 13 bullets are fired. Do you need to be clever in any way? My daughter is like, 8 bullets? How can 13 shots be fired? So as soon as I say 13 shots fired, at least 2 shooters, is that too much to say? No. Okay. But as soon as you do it, you step into the world of conspiracies. And then it's a matter of how did they do it? I mean, Sirhan wasn't even close to Robert Kennedy. So he died by 3 shots fired straight from the back and to the right.
So
1, 2, 3.
Sirhan, or whatever, however you pronounce it, he did not kill him. You think?
Absolutely not.
His bullet.
Absolutely not. He totally innocent guy who's still in prison since 1968, taking the fall. He's the classic patsy, and this guy was mind controlled. He had no idea what he was doing. And I mean, how do I know that he didn't do it? He did fire. He fired a lot of shots that direction. Kennedy was hit straight from the back and to the right. Okay, and one of them, the bullet that enters his brain, and that was the one that killed him, was point blank. I mean, it was even his hair was burned off here. Point blank gun. Sirhan was never closer than a meter and a half. So you go figure. How did he do that? He did not. So who was standing behind to the right? Is it too much to ask to just say, I think the killer must have been behind him to the right? Okay, I think that would be pretty logic. Who was there? A security guard called Thane Caesar. Okay, he was connected to the mob, and he was standing there, and several witnesses saw that the security guard pulled his gun and fired shots. Okay. Then you interview Thane Caesar, who had a gun with the same caliber and all of these things. He even went through
lying detector test.
That's the one. He went through the flying colors, no problem. How could he do that? Because the logic says he was the one who fired. He was the one. People
because
saw.
He was under mind control.
I think. So it was not only Sirhan, but Thane Caesar was as well, because you need people as well, because he would be in the line of fire. I mean, Sirhan was shooting right in his direction. So how do you get a sane, normal guy to say, okay, I'll take the fall. I'll be ready to stand in the line of fire. I might be killed, but I'll still do it. So these, I would say, both of them would be under control. And you can also see.
So can everybody be under mind control? I mean, if they had gone through this kind of trauma or compartmentalization?
I'm not the right person to ask that. What I know is that they use people that are normally weak mentally, not sick mentally, but easily usable. You can see shows, hypnosis shows and stage. Yeah, you can see they take up a whole crowd and they say, fall asleep, blah, 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 blah. Maybe 8 of them do, and many others don't. So they say, okay, you can go and sit down and watch the show, and these people I can play around with.
So you're talking about different levels of consciousness, or
I'm talking about that some people are very easily manipulated by hypnosis and these type of things. Others are not. If it's strength, I don't know what makes the difference. But when it comes to these assassins, I think they have gone through many different stages and then been handpicked because they are the perfect ones to just, I'm gone, I'm under total control. And often also they have a drink before. You will see that they're hanging around in a bar with someone, they have a coffee or something. I think these drinks are spiced as well. because that's often like half an hour before the hit or something like that. So I would.
So they're using drugs also in that way.
In the mind control programs, they have tested so many different types of drugs, and Chip Tatum that I told you about before the CIA, he said that this is standard procedure. They use it a lot, especially when they want to have to be able to blackmail somebody or control somebody. Like there was one politician from South America who, I think his name was Alfredo Calderon or something like that. And this guy was starting to ask for money. He had been part of, if I'm correct with the detail, he had been part of getting rid of the former president and so on. And then suddenly he was starting to ask for more, pay me more. I did you this, pay me more. Okay, so George Bush Sr. invited him to the White House. There are photos of him and Felix Rodriguez as well. They're sitting in the White House having a great drink and so on. And what Chip Tatum told me, and which I've got confirmed from other people as well, it can be checked out in what's called the Tatum Chronicles, which is an incredible read, I tell you. Tatum Chronicles, it's available on the internet, chiptatum.com. What they did, they used a special drug that I forgot the name of it, some Latin name, and with that one they can totally control the person, and the
just
person,
with the drug.
With this drug, it has no smell. It has
the people don't have to go through mind control or mind control.
It has no smell, no taste, no nothing. So they just give it to him like this. He had no. And what they did with this guy, I'm sorry, it's a bit shocking, but what they did with this guy.
Chip Tatum?
No, Chip Tatum was aware of this. I don't know if he was part of doing it, but this politician, this South American politician, Alfredo Calderon, I think his name was that he was becoming too big-headed. He was asking for too much, and they needed him. So they couldn't just kill him because they needed him for the next step. So what they did was they fed him this drug, and then they got a prostitute in. They filmed the whole thing. By that time, he was out of it. He was spaced out totally. So this prostitute turned out to be a male prostitute. Yeah. So he had him do all these type of things with this male prostitute, and afterwards, they killed the prostitute, this young male prostitute, and they had him do cannibalistic things with this. Yeah, I tell you. On what scale? It's awful, awful, awful. Then when he came back to his senses, he had absolutely no idea. And they said, "Dear Mr. Alfredo, you were asking about too much. We were offended by that. So if you could please watch the TV screen over there." And then, so they played the whole thing for him, And they said, so either
and he had been unaware of
totally unaware. He had no recollection whatsoever. And they said, "Now please follow our rules, or we will just let this out go public." And from then on, boom, he was in total control of them for the rest of his career.
You actually go into something like that on that type of level with your talks about, and in your book about Olof Palme, who was murdered. You also talk about some kind of a sex ring. That's something that leads up to a bigger story about his killing. Is that something you want to just briefly connect a little bit, so we talk about your which is kind of a specialty for you to talk about the Olof Palme murder, and if we can just cover that for a moment.
I was invited on the Red Ice Creation radio. I spent 9 hours explaining about the Olof Palme assassination.
That's a long time.
Not because I like the sound of my own voice, but because that was the time to just do the basics to try and understand what happened. Because the Olof Palme assassination, we have been told, was it follows a template that they use. It's almost like I say, a template where a political assassination is done, where the order comes from a very high level, but it's being blamed on a lone crazy guy, which is also what to this very day, everybody is like, was it Christer Pettersson or was it not? Was it Christer Pettersson? Was it not? I would say after 30 years, it was absolutely not. This man was totally innocent, and it was an assassination done.
He was falsely accused.
Totally. Patsy.
Was he there?
No.
He was not even there on the street.
No, he had an alibi. No, he was not there at all. He was not the first one they wanted to frame for this murder. There were several candidates before that. He came.
But who was he then? I mean, not to go into long details about who he was, but why did they choose him?
Because he was the perfect patsy. He had nothing to do with the assassination of Olof Palme.
That's what you just said. So why was he chosen? What was that
He
name
was chosen when they do these assassination. Can I just go through a template?
Yes.
I have never found a template. I've just seen a very clear pattern of how these are carried out.
Okay.
And they use like a template that was created by the old Romans and have just been modernized over the years. What they do, when I can give a template about so-called terror acts, I can tell you about it. They're similar, and a template about assassinations. When they prepare an assassination, the victim, most of the time, is somebody, either an enemy or somebody in their own ranks that they need to get rid of. Somebody who's become too big-headed, too unreliable, too, a problem. Maybe even they're fearing him becoming a whistleblower or something like that. So a decision is taken on a very high level that this man needs to be taken out. The order goes down through the power pyramid and it gets totally diffused so you cannot track it back. Compartmentalized. It comes down to where the order is given to a team of assassins. Okay. This team of assassins is put together by people most of the time from different backgrounds, different groups, different countries with no apparent connections. Okay. And they're put together under the control of, often these hit teams are separated in groups and they're only connected by radio and so on. So they don't even know all of the members. It's compartmentalized. They work under code names. They don't know each other's identity. They don't know each other from before. Anyway, that's the hit team. We're going to come to them later. Because before that, what you need is you send in a team of surveillance. Nowadays, the technique has gone very, very high-tech. So I would say if we go back like 10, 20 years, when the Palme assassination happened, and many of them before, this is the way they did. They flew in a team for surveillance. This was normally about 9 people, something like that. So they had 3 teams of 3 people that could do a 24-hour surveillance.
And this was in 1986.
When Palme, 86.
Almost 30 years ago.
So they've flown them in. They fly them in about 3-4 weeks before. Their task is to check out all the habits of the victim to become. Where he works, how he travels to job, who he intermingles with, where would be a good place to do the hit, check out the whole traffic net, so that the getaway cars, where can they, because you need to be aware of dead-end streets, like are there any train crossings that could stop the getaway cars? Are there anywhere where there could be traffic blocks when this assassination is done and so on? So you need to check all of.
What about general people on the street?
Yeah, but that is also a major concern that you need to do it isolated. I would also say there's a very big reason why they do some assassinations in broad daylight. In front of cameras, in front of people, and so on. Because with many of these people, you could just slip a pill in their coffee, and boom, heart attack. Thank you, goodbye. We got rid of the problem. But from time to time, groups like the Bilderberg and so on, they need to statue an example saying, you're out of order. So what they do is they make an incredible impact by shooting somebody or killing them right in front of cameras, people, whatever, broad daylight, to make a statement that we can get anyone at any time, anywhere.
Like the Kennedy assassination?
Totally. That is why they took him out like that. And that has been called the grandmother of operations. That has been used as a teaching example in the education of snipers and assassins over the years. If you look at around the limo and so on, when he was shot, there were 4 people filming the whole thing that have never been identified. They stand like just a few meters from the limo. And these films have been used as educational material for assassins and so on, all the way up until today. Anyway, so what you do is you prepare evidence against the patsy. You have to find a patsy as well. And the patsy is either, what they love to do is a lone crazy guy. And the reason why alone is because then he is not connected with anyone. And crazy, then you don't need a motive. He was crazy. He just walked up and shot him. Case closed, bury the guy, put him away, and very often they kill him as well. Oh, I'm sorry, he fell out of a window. Oh, my sorry, he hung himself. It's very tragic, but thank God it's over and done. Okay. Lone patsy, that's why they take him. They can also do that towards with a group or something like that. I would suggest that they're using it on a very, very regular basis. This is why I've done hundreds of interviews exposing the method so that people can start seeing for themselves how they are carried out. Because it's only when you see the method that you will see, whoa, 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 what's going on, and you will not buy the official version right away. I'm not saying that every single assassination is done by this. Check out the template. If what I say fits in, say just wait a second, I will look into this, I will not just swallow it, I will make up my own mind, and then it's up to you. Okay, so what I said was that we've chosen the victim, okay? We have a surveillance team that has flown in to check out his habits, check out his routes, where he works, where he goes, where everything like that. Also to find out good places to hit him, where alternative escape cars could be situated, located, because if something goes wrong, you need a plan B, plan C, and so on, because you must not fail. The victim has to die, and you have to get away. Okay. At the same time, you prepare a patsy, and that patsy is chosen often for his looks, because he needs to be good in media. That's the main thing. He needs to say weird things, look weird, have a violent background. That's perfect. Be strange like this. You need a boogeyman. It's the boogeyman. You need that to be able to get the population to swallow the version. Okay. So what you do is you find him. You prepare him without knowing it. You target that person.
And that could be a mind control program. We established that.
Yeah, but I don't think so. Often you don't need to mind control these people. But sometimes
people do it voluntarily.
No, they have no idea. They're patsies. They have no idea. They're taking the fall for something they're totally innocent to. They are just there to be blamed, to point the whole thing at them. Say he was the one that did it. He was the one. To take away the attention from where the real truth is, which is in. Okay, so you got the patsy, you got him under surveillance, you got what you also need to do, you need to prepare false evidence against him, so that as soon as the shots are fired, boom, you can point and say, it was him, it was him, it was him. If this is a group or something like that, you will also, in the weeks upcoming to the attack or the assassination, you will start leaking out in media. Ooh, if it's a group, for instance, you target some group that you have a problem with. For instance, truth seekers, it could be like veggie growers, or nowadays, truth seekers, whatever. It used to be the East Bloc, then they used the Muslims, now they're going everywhere, and so you need a patsy. So in the upcoming weeks, you start leaking out that, ooh, this group, they have secret meetings on Wednesdays, and maybe they have hidden guns under the floor because they have a security group within themselves, and you start demonizing them just very mildly, but to prepare the subconscious of the population.
And did they do that with Christoph Peterson? Which was
absolutely not. That was not the way they did it in that case, because once again, Christoph Peterson came in 2 years after the assassination. He was not the patsy they had thought of. Absolutely not. Anyway. But there was a lot of things that went wrong that night. So that's why, in the end, he was the guy that had to take the fall.
So if somebody planned to kill Olof Palme, and you say it connects to what you call Operation 40, which you explained earlier, why did they want to kill him?
This, like I say, I did a 9-hour interview on redicecreations.com, where you can listen to the 9 hours. The reason for 9 hours is that it's a super complicated assassinations done from the highest level globally, It's not a Swedish assassination in any way, even though they had backup by locals.
It's not a Swedish
assassination. Absolutely not. He was taken out because he was part of the elite. He was a Bilderberg member, and he started suddenly go his own way. Very similar to what JFK did. Suddenly he went totally on his own in a different direction.
Are you saying he became like a whistleblower to what he was?
Not whistleblower, but traitor to their agenda.
Traitor to their agenda.
They saw him as a traitor.
And you even talk about there being two complex operations in one.
The hit team that came in this day was organized by the order. The task was given to a South African colonel called Craig Williamson, who's formerly known as the super spy. He during the 70s and so on, he infiltrated. He pretended to be a refugee from South Africa. He's a white guy, and he said that he had helped the ANC against apartheid and so on. And he was welcomed in Sweden, got asylum as a refugee, and started. Actually, he was employed by BOSS, the secret police of security force of South Africa, and his job was to infiltrate the Social Democrat Party, which he did. He came all the way up to the very top, and even ended up writing speeches to some of Olof Palme's colleagues, like Bernd Carlson. Unreal, absolutely unreal. Once again, this is very easy to find out about these things. Craig Williamson, okay. Then they found out about him, and he escaped before they managed to take him. He came back to South Africa, was welcomed as a hero, he was promoted to a major, and so on. This was early on. The reason why they chose him, I think, was because he knew the whole scene about the Social Democrat. He knew the Social Democrat Party, the headquarters, the locations in Stockholm, all of that, you know. So he was handpicked to do the whole thing. So what he did in about 6-7 months before the assassination was to put together a team of highly skilled assassins from different groups, different countries, no background connected. Many of them coming from the Stay Behind network, that like highly skilled assassins. And they spent about 3 months doing the whole planning of the assassination. It was done in a farm outside Johannesburg. It was called Daisy Farm, beautiful name, of an absolute awful place, a terror center, a torture center, where they took ANC members, tortured them, chopped them up in pieces, burned them. Awful. But this Daisy Farm is where they had almost like schoolrooms, and went through the whole plan together with some specially picked agents. Okay, the people that were handpicked for this was a Rhodesian mercenary called Anthony White, who had worked with Craig Williamson many times before. Now he lives in Mozambique. He has an own furniture company in Beira. Anthony White was the one, as far as I know, that was responsible for the logistics together with Swedish backup. It comes to weapons, food, cars, transport, housing, and so on. Another man was Rian Stander, who was an agent, boss agent as well. He was one of the walkie-talkie men that was observed around the Palme assassination. And a fourth one was Peter Castleton, an English guy, a pilot, that was working together with these people as well in the security forces in South Africa. Craig Williamson had also been working with people from the CIA and many of these other because on the highest level, there's no difference between the CIA, the MI5, the MI6, the Swedish SEPO, the South American boss, and so on. It is hard to understand, but once you get way up in the power pyramid, very, very high up, you will see that they're actually connected. They look separate down here. Anyway, so we had, they took in a West German guy called Franz Esser. This team from South Africa, they flew with Luxor Air from South Africa to Luxembourg. They were picked up by Franz Esser, a German guy that worked for BOSS, driven through Denmark up here to Stockholm, where they were located, and joined by a man called Heine Hümann, who was also German, who had been part of many, many assassinations globally. One of them, the murder of Dulce September in Paris, where the same people have been involved.
Lots of names. Huh?
Lots of names. Then they had Michael Vernon Townley, a CIA assassin, connected to Operation 40 indirectly. He was also part of taking out Salvador Allende and other people. Orlando Lettier in Washington, they blew up his car. They were part of the hit on Bernardo Leighton in Italy, where they took him out. Carlos Prats as well. Okay, so Michael Turnbull, and
But all of these names, which we probably would need to go really in depth to really talk about, you know, step by step, will take, as you just said, a long time. So basically, the core of it was that Olof Palme, as you say, was doing things. He was going against the agenda, and that was why you say that they wanted to take him out. And there were two complex operations, and one is you have not even gone into that territory yet.
No, this what I'm describing now is that one of them, and then the other team is on a totally different level, which I need more time to explain.
Okay, and also they can read more about it in your book Coup d'Etat in slow motion, huh?
Coup d'Etat in slow motion.
But basically, just right now, just behind us at the Marriott Hotel, the annual Bilderberg Group meeting is taking place here in Denmark in 2014. And you have come out in just recent days, the last couple of days, saying something that has been quite eye-opening and a bit shocking also. And I don't really know what that is all about, but you're talking about a possible false flag attack on the grounds around the Marriott Hotel. What is that all about, and why are you going into such a thing? Don't you think it's like instilling fear in people because there's enough speculation already? You know, so why are we talking about a sudden? You know, they even said that about they warned about that at the Olympics in London also, and many researchers came out and warned, saying that we should be careful about a false flag attack there, and nothing happened. So why are you saying these things?
First of all, it is very, very important for me to understand that my whole approach to this is from love. I'm not there for revenge, spreading fear, spreading violence in any way. I just want to, by exposing these groups, make them stop messing up the lives of so many millions of us from a hidden hand perspective. The only thing I want, transparency, so that it will be exposed what is going on. I've spent 30 years looking into many of these assassinations, so many so-called terror acts, which I would say more or less every single one that I've looked into has been tracked back to the same global elite group. So-called false flag operations, staged events, where what they try to do is they use an old Roman tactic that's called problem, reaction, solution. They secretly create a problem to get a reaction from the public, the population, and the reaction will always, the one they're seeking is an emotional, like, oh my God, something needs to be done. And then the population will turn towards me, who they do not know secretly has created the problem, and I will come forward with a solution. The solution will make me look like a hero, because I will sort out the problem that I secretly created, and at the same time it would push forward my agenda that would have not been possible if I had just done it in the first place. This is done, it's been done since the Roman Empire, and they have just done it again and again and again and again. So, one of the things is, when these things happen, when these so-called terror acts happen, mass shootings, you name it, look for the solution that we are being presented right after it happens. Normal standard procedure is something happens. Very often it's a bomb or shooting or something, public place. It needs to be public.
Like the Boston bombings? Or?
You name, that's the same. Public, and to get the emotional impact, women and children, that's the one. The key thing is that it doesn't work with old people, or if you blow up some cows or something like that, does not work. You need to go emotional to get the impact for your agenda to be welcomed. So it's women and children you need to blow up in a public place. I mean, we're talking absolute awful, awful things for you then to be able to come with the agenda. These false flag operations have been used, I cannot say how many times, and it's just speeding up. It's almost like the global elite are getting really freaked out because
so no attacks are real?
all the ones that I have looked into that I thought were separate events, every single time that I looked into them, and I have looked into them with extreme detail. I cannot say all of them, but so many of them are staged events, inside jobs. We're talking everything from...
In order to create a reaction and a solution.
Then they can come with us.
To change the agenda.
To push, it's like if
push
they...
an agenda.
For instance, like that, if I want, here in Denmark, I want the police to drive around in tanks, look like Robocops, have drones that can kill anyone at any time, you know, without suspicion, and I want the police to be able to kick in doors without warrants or anything like that. If I just push that, if I'm the man in power here in Denmark, if I just do that, I would have a lot of problems. The people of Denmark would just like, my God, he's gone totally mad. I would have demonstrations. I would have, he's become a dictator. I would have uprising. I would have guerrilla movements, demonstrations. Maybe other countries would make boycotts against Denmark. My God, he's gone totally mad. Not the way it's going. You see that in South America when they've done that with the military coups, and so they had a massive mess where they had, in the end, they had to have almost as many soldiers in the street as normal people just to be able to control them. They filled the prisons, they killed them, they had to torture them to find out. Messy.
So you're actually suggesting now that that might happen at the Marriott Hotel this year during the Bilderberg meeting?
I would just say that when you look at how these operations are carried out, there's a very specific way they do it. They set it up almost like a film set to create the drama so that they can get the emotional reaction from the population, and then they can push forward their agenda.
But are you saying they've done that here?
I'm coming here. When I arrived to this hotel, you know, because normally I've been tracking this Bilderberg Group for years and years and years and years. Okay, I come to Copenhagen. I'm totally prepared that it will be like it's normally, like top security, loads of like armed police, big rings around the hotel, no entrance, no exit, no entrance, no exit for normal people. You can't even get close. They're like totally, they have denied it until last year, their whole existence more or less. I come here, what do I see? I came here the evening before. No protection. 2 police officers picking their nose, being totally uninterested in anything. They were starting putting up blocks like this. I could go all the way up, look in through windows. I was like, what is going on? There's no protection.
That was before all the elite members arrived.
Yeah, but that is also when a terrorist would place a bomb. He would not go there. Excuse me, Mr. Kissinger, do you mind if I put a bag under your table? You do that, you prepare for a thing like that. Yeah. So you would have to cover the parameter with military, with police forces and so on. Check out the buildings, check out for snipers, check out...
There are snipers on the roof.
When I came, nothing. 0, 0, 0. I look at the location of the hotel, doesn't make any sense at all.
It's not a castle in the woods or kept
Which
away
is what they
something.
like. Normally they like it, so nobody knows about it, that nobody can enter. They don't want to be in fear. They want to be left alone, not known about, so that they can get on with their agenda. Here, total opposite. When it comes to security, absolute crap location. So I'm like, what is going on here?
That was the reason why you thought maybe...
No. I start looking into, when I know their way, their methods, I said, but if this is not... I mean, what makes logic? There's a logic behind everything. I look at this hotel, absolute crap for security, absolute perfect. Why did they pick it? Why did they pick this place? So I start looking around, and I see that this would be a possible perfect place for a false flag operation, because in this place, what they do, we're back to the PATSI, the problem, reaction, solution. This group are having major problems now with the truth movement on a global scale, because people are waking up, they're popping up everywhere, just like on a daily basis, just like, oh my God, what's going on? And the spotlight is being pointed at these people. They can't hide anymore. They used to get away with everything because nobody knew about them. Now it's like big spotlight, we see you, we see you, we see you, we see you.
And reporting in the press.
Now they even go out, so no, we're not hiding, we're just having a coffee together.
More transparency
because
without
we
really
have absolutely nothing to hide.
Saying what's going on inside.
Okay, so I look at the location, and I see, when you look at the different false flags that have pulled off on this scale, Boston Marathon, the government building in Oslo, total false flag operation.
With Anders Breivik at Utøya, the island.
Awful atrocity that was made, that total inside job. Anyway, so I looked at, and I started looking around on the buildings everywhere. The hotel is not top quality, and many of the buildings they blow up have some kind of problem or need renovation. It's owned by people in the group, and what they would do is, like, maybe there's asbestos in the basement or something like that, so that they have it would be a major cost to repair or fix up or so.
It was just built a couple of years ago, really.
Okay, in that case, I'm totally wrong. I didn't think it looked that good.
It's not that old.
But what you would see, if I'm right, I so hope I'm totally wrong.
Yes, we all do.
Thank you. So do I, because my only intention with mentioning this is that so nobody would get hurt. That's why I also went out straight away when I saw this and recorded. I went to many different radio stations just saying, please note the time, what day it is, when I'm saying this, so that if anything happens, it will be revealed. I said it before, not that I said it, but so that it will not be blamed on innocent people, innocent groups and so on. And used against us, and even better that they get exposed, and the whole plan gets defused, so they can't do it.
But because a lot of truth researchers and truthers and people who are, activists are listening also to what you're saying, and the videos are out already. Don't you think that would be instilling fear a little bit more than what you say, the love vibration that you want to really create?
What would you prefer? You get a little scared, a little strange feeling in your stomach, you stay away, you get blown to pieces.
So people should stay away from the site?
I would say that's a good idea, but the thing is, it has already happened, because there's very, very few people there. In the media, they said yesterday 2,000-3,000 people. I was there was like 60, maybe 200-300. Where did that come from?
But the elite is also inside, so they would not blow it up.
And this is where I would say, have anyone seen any of the elite arrive?
Yes.
Okay.
I personally saw Queen Beatrix yesterday.
Did you see her enter the hotel?
Yes, I took a picture.
Excellent, excellent. Did you see anyone else?
Kissinger, when he arrived as well in the car.
That's two.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if you notice how it's normally, it's a long row of these limos going vroom, vroom, vroom. I was standing there the whole day. There was vroom, and then there was.
But they came in from the side. We were on the other side, and then we saw.
But how many? I saw people walk around. Once again, I totally hope I'm so wrong about this.
So if people hear this and they are fearful, and also when they hear all of the other staggering, shocking things that you and others have to say, and this, my God, it's been really outrageous, a lot of the things, and if people hear it for the first time, they might be very fearful and scared. How would you say that people should deal with this kind of information, particularly if it's the first time that they're hearing it?
I would say that it's I don't push these things down people's throat. I normally don't talk about these things except when people are interested. You approached me, you said, would you like to tell me about this? I said yes. Okay. It is painful to wake up, especially if you have been asleep for a long time, if you have somehow been part of helping this creation, which most of us have, either by not being aware of it or being taken indirectly part of it. It is very painful to become aware of these things. And most people go through stages when they start understanding what's going on. First, it's like they just can't believe it. Then they start studying more and more. They go into, oh my God. Then they start to persuade everyone around them, just pushing it out there. Nobody wants to hear, because the energy they come with is just like black black. Everything is awful. Everything is, it's a nightmare. Everybody goes, oh God, get me away from this person. Then when nobody listens to them, they go into depression. They get really sad or fearful and so on. And in the end, they get quiet, or they start mingling with other people that they can talk to. And I've been doing this for 30 years. I've gone all through all of these things. I had friends that was murdered, that awful thing. I had to leave Sweden because I was also threatened, and I changed country.
You were threatened as well?
Yes. And so I know these different stages. Now I come to a point where my total focus is love. I'm not talking about love, falling in love. No. I love you because if you do nice things to me. I'm talking about the power of love, the highest frequency, which they are very aware of because they're trying to push us down all the time through media, into fear mode, depression, because that is where they can control us.
So you don't have any fear anymore?
Yeah, I'm not stupid. I don't want to die or be hurt. I mean, it hurts. I don't want to be one of them. At the same time, it is my path. For some reason, I've spent 30 years putting myself in this danger zone. I'm freaked out sometimes. It is.
So what would you suggest people should do about fear, feeling fear? No fear? They should not be fearful?
I would say become aware. Also become aware of that fear is a dangerous place to be. It is not good for you at all. And through fear you will be not able to do anything good. You will just become incapacitated. They want you fearful. That's the main thing, is they control you through fear.
So people should deal with their fears and try and eliminate the fear.
The way I would suggest, because not everybody should go out and expose things or do things. No, absolutely not. What you can do is you can raise your energy. This sounds like New Age, wee-oo, but if you look in a laboratory, the highest frequency, that is what we call love. The lowest frequency, that is what they call real terror, fear. So there's these opposite, very, very different frequencies, okay? If you put them together in a laboratory, what happens is that it's not a matter of that meet in the middle and they start fighting like that. The lower frequency is annulled. It just, boom, disappears. It's just like you go into a dark room, you put on the light, boom, it's light. It's not like the shadows are fighting. Hey. It just disappears. The same with these frequencies. And I think like what Jesus said and so on was that love is the answer. Whatever the problem is, he said, the higher frequency is always the answer to the lower. So whatever you are faced with is, if you focus in love, and I tell you, I've been in war zones and these things, I've had guns put against me. The times when I've been able to just focus, what works for me is, if I look at somebody, even if they're screaming or threatening or something, if I can keep focus, and the word that works for me is divine, if I just divine, not go into fear mode, the chances, and it's worked for me so far, is that suddenly there's this incredible transformation of a dangerous situation suddenly changes into that the person who has been threatening is suddenly talking to me about, I have problems with my wife, and do you mind, maybe we can have a beer or something. But if you go into fear, the risk for you to get hurt and so on, it's incredible. The more fear, the bigger the chance. And you're in their ballpark. So I would say what you can do is lift your energy, because it's important that you raise the energy, and the best way is to go out and help other people.
There are many beautiful things still on this planet, and the weather is beautiful.
It's absolutely amazing.
The water is just outside here of the Dome of Visions in Copenhagen. And even though the Bilderberg Group is right behind us and at the Marriott Hotel, and we don't really know what's taking place, or maybe we do, then wow, it's been quite some staggering and shocking information.
Please understand that this is a beautiful, beautiful planet, a beautiful life that is designed for absolute harmony and so on, if we treat it right. This group we're talking about, there are 2,000-3,000 maximum. We are 7 billion people. It's an absolute joke that we're even letting them control. We should just say, come on, go home. You know, it's a joke. Give it up. And I would like to finish with a prayer. I'm not religious in that way. I think religion is mostly used as a political tool. I see myself as a spiritual person. And there's this beautiful prayer that I totally stand for. And it goes like this. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May everyone, and especially the ones who hurt us, be filled with peace and joy, love and light. Victory to that light. Because it's only by healing them as well. They have big, big black empty spaces inside that they try to fill with green, and it does not work. So to stop them is to help heal them as well.
Ole Dammegård, love and light.
There you go.
Thank you very much for doing this interview with Age of Truth TV. It's been very interesting.
My absolute
Thank you
pleasure.
Very much. Thank you.
There you go.
Age of Truth.